CHS Market Day Report. We're here at midday, and the corn market, what's happening there? That's where we start. We're higher, up a couple of pennies at $4.66 a bushel. We're looking at that December contract, trying to turn it back around, finish in positive territory this week. How about beans? Well, you know, beans have performed pretty good this year so far. We're up 14%. And we're 7 3/4 cents higher on the November at 12.02 3/4. 3 flash sales reported by USDA earlier today. China, 12.5 million bushels. Mexico, 9.4 million. Unknown destinations at 4 million bushels. We have the wheat market. Wheat, Chicago's up 24%. Year to date, September, 6.80 1/4. It's up 5.5. Kansas City's up 29% year to date. We've got gains of 12 3/4 cents, 7.29 1/4. Even Milwaukee, as we talk, Minneapolis, as we talk about spring wheat, and those contracts higher, they're up 14%. Finally, the cotton market. Now, year to date, we're up 22%, but we're down here this week, trading 79.03. It's down 27. Well, we said Minneapolis. That's part of the Twin Cities, right? And that's where we find Joe Lardy, CHS Market Advisors. Okay, Joe, what are your thoughts on where we've been and where we could be going next week?
Well, I think the USDA kind of reshaped the conversation when they reduced the ending stocks for both corn and wheat to levels that we were kind of, over 2 billion corn carryout. You're feeling kind of comfortable. Now at 1.8, that really tightened things in, and it really changed the margin of error that we have in the corn market. And so going forward, really watching the weather is going to be super important because we've been so warm. I mean, all in the upper Midwest and, frankly, throughout a lot of the country, it's been 90s and 100-degree temperatures. Places are setting records all over North Dakota, Montana, Minnesota. And it's okay, right? It's summer. It's supposed to get hot, but we've seen the rainfall kind of disappear along those lines. And so if the temperatures cool down as they're supposed to next week, if we get some rain events coming in, but, kind of watching the segment right before we came on with the best dressed weatherman in the business, Mr. Jeff, there's not a ton of precip coming through the Midwest. And I think that's going to start to get really critical here as we start looking forward, not only through some of this corn pollination, but into August when that's the critical time for beans. So I think the market really has shifted its focus from kind of a heavier bearish tone to now there's some pretty bullish inputs going for us finally.
I don't have the notes here, but Poet, 1 month ago, breaking ground on an expansion that they've got at one of their ethanol plants where they're going from like 90 million up to like 198 or something. We're talking about more than doubling here. That's great for the market because that's demand for corn. Yep. But does that also present maybe some interesting challenges as we start looking down the road and some of these weather issues you're talking about?
Frankly, anytime we can get additional demand for these markets, and, we've seen record ethanol exports. So there is an opportunity. We've seen good ethanol margins. So, that's probably a good move. What does it mean longer term with these weather markets? Well, we got to feed the beast, right? When you increase that demand, you better have the supply. And, if this weather stays hot and dry, that 183 yield could start heading south pretty quick. And boy, then the overall picture of the corn market really turns friendly.
All right, Joe, before we let you go, if there's some catfish on the plate out in front of you, do you take it?
Can we substitute that out for a piece of halibut or maybe some short lunch walleye, perhaps?
Well, unfortunately, USDA didn't have one of the halibut reports this week, but they did have a catfish report. So anyway, we'll have some details on the catfish report around the corner. But Joe, great to see you. Enjoy the halibut this weekend. Joe Lardy, CHS Market Advisors. He looked a little nervous, wondering whether or not I was going to make him talk catfish. We will talk catfish for just a moment. And some other proteins right around the corner. This is Market Day Report.